So, Liz, now crossovers is not your specialty, but you're certainly understanding what they're doing and how that interacts with our ears, attenuating various frequencies. And so the way we hear obviously is not linear. I mean, everybody knows you don't hear everything flatly. So how do our ears hear? I mean, what's that? How does that work?
Yeah, so obviously our ears help collect sound, right? And each of our shapes are actually kind of uniquely suited to do that, right? And help you discriminate front from back, right? That's really why our ears are faced forward. And then when sound gets into the ear, you have different things that help amplify that sound in the middle ear, and then in the cochlea you get kind of frequency response where specific frequencies start to excite different neurons and in this case hair cells that actually are mechanoreceptors. So they move with this kind of fluid wave that turns into an electrical signal that's what our brain's currency is. So our brain then uses those electrical signals to start activating different parts of the auditory pathways in the brain. And the one I'm focused on is the one that basically uses timing differences and intensity differences that are based on the size and shape of our head that help us figure out where sounds are coming from. So there's basically two cues our head gives us that help us determine sound location. One is the fact that the sound wave, if it's coming from over here, is going to physically hit this ear first. And then it'll hit this ear later. And we can actually compute the time it takes to travel from one ear to the other and say, okay, the sound must have come from over here. And we can do this at like microsecond resolution. Like our brain is so fast at doing this. It's amazing. It's one of the fastest things our brain can do, period. And then that really only works for those low frequencies because you need that phase shift in the wave. If you don't have that phase shift, it doesn't make sense to your brain, right? You're not able to kind of look at where that wave is in correspondence with the ears. So for anything over, 1 to 2K, our brain actually has to use intensity differences. So is it louder at one ear? And our bodies are actually incredible at absorbing sound. So if it hits this ear first, our head will actually absorb much of that sound and it'll be softer at the other ear. And so our brain can use that for basically every frequency out there to say, okay, the sound must be coming from over here because it was louder over here. So we have this circuit set up in the brain, and that's the one that our lab is really interested in. But what we want to do then is apply that to like more complex questions, because that's the basic biology that we know kind of how it works. And so what our lab's interested in is like, why after I had kids, I'm now more sensitive to my kid's location, right? And I'm like, okay, that's my kid screaming over there. I know immediately where she is. I can find her. But like, are there hormones or other things that are helping tune my brain now to be more sensitive to their location specifically? So we're interested in that. And then we also know that in conditions like autism, people are really sensitive to sound. And we don't really know where in the brain those sensitivities come from. And some of it probably is even in this really early processing of sound that our brain's doing to just tell us location information. Because you can imagine if you're a loud classroom or a loud, bar or something like that, and there's lots of sounds going on at once, if you can't tell the location one from the other, that's going to be really overwhelming and could lead to some of that like over sensitivity to sound. So we're looking in our pathway too to see if maybe that's also affected in something like autism.